Speech off.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm here to do my February TBR. Honestly, it took me a little while because I kept adding books, taking away books. It's February, it's a short month, and yet I still ended up with a list of books that I will probably not read all of them because it's a lot and it's February. So let's just do this. So let's start with kind of the books I'm reading for different things. First, we have the Pod and Prejudice podcast, which is a Jane Austen podcast. The next book I'm reading along with them is Sense and Sensibility, which just so happens to go along with the Jane Austen sort of year-long thing that Anne from In Search of Wonder and Charlene from Coffee and a Book are doing. So it's kind of cool that I get to read with them this month. Since I'm reading along with the podcast, it's not in the same order that they're doing it. I read Pride and Prejudice last month. So, yeah. It's kind of just, I'm a weirdo for listening to podcasts in order. So, yeah. Now I'm going into uncharted territory with Jane Austen. I've only ever read Pride and Prejudice, so we'll see how I like this book. Then I want to read a Jane Austen retelling. It's called Unequal Affections. It's a Pride and Prejudice retelling by Laura S. Ormiston. I heard about this one from Gloria Z. Thompson. She actually says that this book is better than the original. So let's see. Apparently it's like a what if Elizabeth had said yes to Darcy's first proposal, or as Pod and Prejudice calls it, Proposal Geddon, because it was such a disaster of a proposal. So yeah. There's that. Then we have Chantel Reads All Day's Year of Maud. I'm actually a little bit behind. I started reading Anne of Green Gables like right at the end of the month, at the last minute, because I realized I hadn't done it, and she started her live already. So I'm going to read that, finish that, and I'm going to read Anne of Avonlea with them this month. I'm actually taking notes throughout my reading of Anne of Green Gables. So I'm going to do like a spoilery review / discussion, kind of similar to what I've been doing with Harry Potter, which is another thing I'm behind on. So I need to finish Prisoner of Azkaban. I sort of fell off the wagon just with the holidays and stuff like that. So I need to go back. I'll probably start over because my notes sort of got away from me. But yeah, I decided to do that with the Anne series too throughout the year since, well, I have some controversial opinions on Gilbert Blythe. So yeah, I'm going to finish Green Gables and start Avonlea. Anne of Avonlea is my favorite book after Green Gables, of course. Then it all kind of goes downhill from there, honestly, after Avonlea. It's just not the same. Anyway, then we have the Little House readathon. It's a short readathon, but for me, it's probably going to last all month. I actually have another video coming up about Little House. Oh, yeah, and I did one where I talked about, apparently there's going to be a new Netflix reboot of Little House on the Prairie. So I did a video on my hopes for that, so you guys can go check that out if you want to. But for the readathon, it's hosted by Lizzie Faye Loves Books and Lindsay Reads. Their group read is Farmer Boy. I've never read Farmer Boy. I've read the rest of them, but I was never that interested in Almanzo, so I figure if they're doing it for a readathon, why not? It's short. And then I have Prairie Fires. I've been wanting to read this for a while by Carolyn Fraser. So yeah. And I'm going to be listening to a couple of podcasts. Should I talk about them here or in another video? I'll say those for another video. Yeah. So yeah, I'm reading Prairie Fires, and then maybe we'll see. I forgot I had this. Confessions of a Prairie B-Word. It's Nellie Olson's autobiography. Always fun. So yeah, I'm hoping to get to that, but Prairie Fires is huge, and with one of the podcasts I'm listening to, I'm going to be reading along with the original series again. I know it sounds insane because I just started my reread of the original series. I got to the Long Winter. I read like the first 5 in December, minus Farmer Boy. And I was going to reread the Long Winter during this month, But because when I read it in December, I didn't focus on it because I had a fever 103, so it was more background listening. So I want to read it and enjoy it. But that got sidetracked by the podcast I found. You know what? I'm just going to talk about it. It's called Wilder on the Prairie. No, yeah, Wilder on the Prairie. It's literally chapter by chapter where the host reads the books and kind of discusses them and talks about different like fun facts from them. Each episode is like 10 minutes from what I've seen, although I guess probably as the books get longer and more complicated, the episodes discussing them get longer. So yeah, I have that podcast, and then I'm listening to this other one called Wilder. It's about the host's name is Glynis McNichol. She's a huge Little House super fan, but she talks about like kind of some of the problematic things that can come up with the books. And she does a whole like Little House deep dive and goes to the different museums and stuff. And it's kind of cool. It's like sort of an audio documentary, essentially. She has like segments with people she's interviewed. I've only listened to a few episodes, but I need to read Prairie Fires to listen to some of them, and I don't want spoilers, so yeah, it's kind of a thing. So yeah, I'm listening to those two podcasts, and I'll probably skim through the Little House books that I just read in December. We'll see. I don't think I need to read them too closely because I just read them to listen to the other podcast that goes over the books. Did I make any sense? Probably not. Let's go to another thing. My Little House this year is complicated. So next we have the Once Upon a February readathon? Is it the Once Upon? I don't remember. It's a fairy tale retelling readathon. The hosts are Tales and Treats with Tay, Celestria, Cat Stories, Christy A. Cole, Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails, and Reese from the writing Songbird. I think that's everyone, or it seems like that's a lot of hosts. Anyway, so I weirdly have a lot of stories that I could use for this. I don't know if I'll get to all of them or even all the prompts, but the first prompt is quest. The story has a journey in it. I want to reread Ella Enchanted. I read this one when I was little, but weirdly enough, I did not understand that this was a retelling of Cinderella until the end. I don't even think I understood it then. I was just like, did you guys copy Cinderella? Because it showed there was some Cinderella aspects at the end. And I was like, why are you copying Cinderella? I didn't know. I was like 10 years old, so I was confused. But yeah, I want to reread it just to see how I like it. So at birth, Ella is inadvertently cursed by a young fairy. Basically, she was crying. And so they couldn't get her to stop crying. So the fairy gave her the quote unquote gift of obedience. So basically, she's forced to do anything anyone tells her to. And so she's kind of has to try and break the curse. So yeah, then we have The Wonderland Trials by Sarah Ella. I first heard about this one from Katie from the Currently Reading podcast. It was on one of their indie press list episodes. Basically, if you're part of their Patreon, they have an indie press list. So every month they work with a different bookstore, and they give the bookstore like recommends 5 books, and all of us patrons buy from that bookstore. So it helps bookstores. Anyway, that was one of they call it the indie press list because it's independent bookstore, and then they call it pressing books into your hands. So it's the indie press list. Whatever. It's a retelling of Alice in Wonderland, and apparently there's a sequel. I don't know if I'll get to both, but I own the first one, so. Then we have Magical Creature. Story has an animal in it. I don't know what I'm going to do for that one. Probably one of the books that I have here has an animal in it at some point. Number 3, Hidden Identity, a new to you author, and I picked The Princess Protection Program by Alex London. I'd had this one on my shelf, or, I've owned this one for a while. I heard about it from Paperbacks and Ponytails last year. It's about fairy tale characters going into the Princess Protection Program, like, so they don't have to kiss princes if they don't want to. That sounds like my kind of thing. I mean, I always thought Cinderella was dumb for marrying the prince because the shoe fit. Yes, I was a 4-year-old wondering if she married a serial killer. Judge me. So yeah, I'm going to read that. And then number 4 is Prince has more than one perspective. Why is it called Prince? Whatever. So I've been wanting to read the Twisted Tales series for a while, but I'm not very familiar with Disney movies, like all of them. I just was not into that when I was little, but I love the idea of turning a fairy tale on its head. So probably a lot of these books is going to have to consist of some research for the movies that I have not seen so that I can understand the significance of the book. But anyway, this first one is Conceal Don't Feel by Jen Kalanita. Cat from Cat Stories says that this one has 2 perspectives because it's about Anna and Elsa. If they hadn't met, I guess. If they didn't know each other. So, yeah, should be interesting. And I'm very familiar with Frozen because Daisy and Alice, my twin nieces, were obsessed with Frozen. I didn't want anything to do with Disney princesses, but believe me, I've watched Moana and Frozen enough times unwillingly to know the entire story and every song in it. I also own the soundtracks of Frozen 1 and Frozen 2 because it was the only thing that keeps Daisy and Alice happy in the car. So, yeah, if there is any book that I'm going to at least understand the story for, it's that one. Number 5, True Love's Kiss, a clean fairy tale retelling. And I just wrote down a bunch of Twisted Tales books for ones that I'm mildly familiar with. So we have As Old as Time by Liz Roswell. I guess this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I've heard that story. Mirror Mirror by Jen Kalanita. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I'm assuming that's Snow White. Part of Your World by Liz Roswell. Little Mermaid. I need to watch that one. I don't think I ever fully understood that story. I only remember singing the song Part of Your World at a music recital when I was a kid. I know the whole song, but I don't think I ever watched the movie. So I'm going to watch the movie because the story sounds interesting. Then we have So This Is Love by Elizabeth Lim, which is a Cinderella retelling. That sounds more interesting than Cinderella herself. I have heard that story a million times, so I figure I'll enjoy that. I have 2 Cinderella retellings. Then we have number 6, Faithful Companion, your favorite genre. So I decided to ditch fairy tale retellings because that is not my favorite genre. My favorite genre is World War II historical fiction. So I'm finally reading the Emerald Sisters series by Kate Hewitt. It is a World War II historical fiction series, and it starts with The Girl on the Boat. I'm actually about to finish it. I've been waiting to get all of the books for all of them to come out because it all starts with Sophie, and she is trying to emigrate to Cuba to get away from the Nazis. They're on a ship, and she meets 3 other girls, Rachel, Rosa, and Hannah. And when they get to Cuba, I think it's the St. Louis ship or the SS St. Louis. Cuba pretty much rejects them unless you can somehow find someone who's willing to sponsor you, like at the last minute, to take you in or something, whatever. So Sophie basically is the only one of her friends who is like allowed to leave the ship. So she does, but it's called the Emerald Sisters because she basically cuts her mother's emerald into 4 pieces and gives one to each of her friends, and they say that they're going to meet on June, I think 2nd, a year after the war is over, at a cafe in Paris. That is when they will all meet. And so that is kind of where their paths diverge, and each book is about a different girl. So this first one is about Sophie. I'm almost done with her story. And yeah, the prologue is where they all meet up. Only one of them doesn't make it, but we don't know who doesn't make it. So that's kind of the lure of the series. I'm very glad that I waited until I had all 4 of them, because that would have driven me crazy. So now I'm going to read the whole thing this month, because I won't be able to stand it. So, yeah, there's that. So we have The Girl on the Boat. Then we have The Girl with the Secret, The Girl Who Risked It All, and The Girl Who Never Gave Up. So, yeah. And then I want to read another book from the Echoes of the Past series by Liz Tolsma. This one I heard about from Lou from Christian Faith and Fiction. I heard about this whole series. I'm skipping book 2. The Echoes of the Past series, you don't really have to read in order, so I'll come back to book 2. I'm more intrigued by book 3. So the 1939 storyline is Helena Kostizek. She's an educated female minority lecturing at a university in Krakow. When the Germans closed in When the Germans closed the university and forced Jews into ghetto, she spirits out a friend's infant daughter and flees to her small village in the southern hills. Helena does everything in her power to protect her family, but it may not be enough. It will take all of her strength and God's intervention for both of them to survive the war and the ethnic cleansing to come. And then the 2023 storyline, recently unengaged social worker McKenna Muir is dealt an awful blow when a 2-year-old she's been working with is murdered. It's all too much to take, so her friend suggests she dive into her family's past like she's always wanted. Putting distance between herself and all problems might help her heal. So she and her friend head on sabbatical to Poland. But what McKenna discovers about her family shocks everyone, including one long-lost family member. I mean, I have to read this. Number 7 is Something Beautiful About the Story or the Book. I don't know. That one, it's kind of a we'll see prompt, because, I don't know. I was thinking of reading Belle, an Amish retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I mean, Belle literally means beauty, doesn't it? Bella, whatever. But I don't know. We'll see what I find beautiful. Then we have Stroke of Midnight. Read a booktuber recommendation. And I decided to read Storybound by Marissa Burt. I heard about this one from Cat Stories. In the land of story, children go to school or to learn to be characters. A perfect hero, a trusty sidekick, even the most dastardly villain. They take classes on outward... Basically, it's fairy tale school, I guess. And someone from the real world goes to fairy tale school, I guess. And yeah, I love books where people from our world go into fairy tale world, because it's not all fairy tale, but it has like a modern spin to it, and the fairy tale characters are like shocked by computers. And I love books where they come to our world too. Those are my favorite kind of fairy tale type books. I'm drinking Starbucks. So yeah, there's that one. Then we have number 9 is Slay the Dragon. Read a book that you meant to read last year. I picked Once Upon a Queen by Sarah Arthur. Although, honestly, every book that I have on this list, most of them, I meant to read last year. But this one is another Katie book. An American teenager discovers that her estranged English grandmother was once a queen in another world. And I guess there's a sequel coming out this month. So maybe I'll read that. We'll see. Now on to books I want to read for Black History Month. I always make it a point to read books by Black authors in Black History Month. And honestly, that's the section of my TBR that took me the longest, because I have so many that I haven't read that I want to read, but then I didn't have the motivation. I don't know. Plus, I wanted to make it more where I'm not reading books by Black authors. It's all about, like, racism and civil rights. I am going to have some of that reading, obviously, but I mean, let's face it, Black literature isn't all about that. It's about the same thing that any other writer would write. Thrillers, romances, whatever. So let's just do this. So the first thing I'm going to read is about racism. Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. It's basically the history of, well, how Black people were treated throughout the centuries. I started to read this book. It's super long. I read the one for teenagers by Jason Reynolds, co-authored by Jason Reynolds. But I wanted to read the original. And so I started it a few years ago, and then I sort of fell off. But I've gotten better at reading nonfiction now, so I'm going to try again. It's very long, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get through Prairie Fires and this one. I think this one might be a really long read. It might take me several months, and I just have to be content with that. Then we have So Many Beginnings by Bethany C. Morrow. This is actually a Little Women retelling. What if the girls were black and post-slavery movement, essentially, like in a camp post-slavery. So yeah, I don't know. It sounds interesting. Little Women? Why not? Then we have The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abi Dare. I've had this one on my TBR forever. Like, since I started Goodreads, I think. And its sequel came out last year, so I thought I should finally try to read it. Then we have Time's Undoing by Cheryl A. Head. I heard about this one from Sarah's Bookshelves live podcast. I cannot speak today. This one is about a reporter and trying to investigate her great-grandfather's murder? Yes. And then I think the 1929 story is his story. So Robert Lee Harrington, a master carpenter, has just moved to Alabama to pursue a job opportunity, bringing along his pregnant wife and young daughter. Birmingham is in its heyday, known as the Magic City, with its booming steel industry, and while Robert and his family find much to enjoy in the city's busy markets and vibrant nightlife, it's also a stronghold for the Klan. And with his beautiful, light-skinned wife and snazzy car, Robert begins to worry that he might be drawing the wrong kind of attention. So, yeah. Then we have 100 Crickets Singing by Kathy Gulke. I can never say her name. I always forget how to pronounce it. It's a sequel to, what's that other one? Nightbird Calling. So, yeah. I want to read that. Then we have You Were Always Mine by Christina Pride and Joe Piazza. I've had this one on my TBR forever. We have Cinnamon Haynes has fought hard for a life she never thought was possible. A good man by her side, a steady job as a career counselor at a local community college, and a cozy house in a quaint little beach town. It may not look like much, but it's more than she ever dreamed of, or what her difficult childhood promised. Her life's mantra is to be good, quiet, grateful. Until something shifts and Cinnamon is suddenly haunted by a terrifying, is this all there is? Daisy Dunlap has had her own share of problems in her 19 years on Earth. She also has her own big dreams for a life that's barely begun. Her hopes and her future are threatened when she gets unexpectedly pregnant. Desperate, broke, and alone, she hides this development from everyone close to her and then makes a drastic decision with devastating consequences. Daisy isn't the only one with something to hide. When Cinnamon finds an abandoned baby in a park and takes a blonde-haired, blue-eyed newborn into her home, the ripple effect of this decision risks exposing the truth about Cinnamon's own past, which she's gone to great pains to portray as idyllic to everyone, even herself. As Cinnamon struggles to contain old demons, navigating the fault lines that erupt in her marriage, and deal with the shocking judgment from friends and strangers alike about why a woman like her has a baby like this, her one goal is to do right by the child she grows more attached with each passing day. It's the exact same conviction that drives Daisy as she tries to outrun her heartache and reckon with her choices. These two women, unlikely friends and kindred spirits, must face down their secrets and trauma and unite for the sake of the baby they both love in their own unique way. When Daisy's grandparents, who would rather die than see one of their own raised by a black woman, threaten to take custody. So this is essentially a white woman trying to raise a black woman trying to raise a white child, which is like, God forbid, in those days. Or, no, actually, I think this is modern. Well, anyway. Good custody battle, and yeah. Then we have Every Smile You Fake by Dorothy Coomson. I've had this for a while, and I realized I could use it. Basically, yeah. Please take my baby, but don't try to find me. You'll put him in danger. Kiss. Profiler and therapist Kes Lashibi is shocked when she finds a baby on the backseat of her car with an unsigned note asking her to take care of him. Basically, it's a thriller. Okay. Then we have It's Elementary by Elise Bryant. This sounds like it's about a black mom getting into the PTA. I heard about this one from Courtney from Ravenclaw Reads. So, sounds like fun. Sounds like women's fiction, and it's not super heavy. I don't think. So, I could be wrong. Then we have just miscellaneous books. I have 2 fostering memoirs that are coming out this month. Please Help My Mommy by Maggie Hartley. This one's coming out on February 13th. I'm excited. It's about a woman who essentially abandons her baby, but it doesn't make any sense because she's been trying to have a baby, like in vitro trying. So what happened? Mystery. Then we have A Family Friend by Casey Watson. She's another foster care memoirist. I'm not sure what this one's about, but yeah. That's at the end of the month, so I don't know. Then we have Her Last Chance by Allison Ragsdale. That one's been on my TBR over and over again. It's about a little girl who's going blind. Then we have The Seaside Homecoming by Julie Klassen. I hope to read this one, but it's long, so we'll see. Then we have the When Hope Calls series. I read the first one already, so I still have to read Sustaining Faith and Unfailing Love. And then we have The Girl She Left Behind by Jo Bartlett. It's a recent one that I heard about. 2 sisters, one abandons her kid. Mom is a narcissist and is trying to take custody of the kid, and her aunt is trying to fight for her. Like I said, I love a good custody battle. Then we have The Christmas Eve Letter. Honestly, this could just take me down a rabbit hole because this is a time travel series. I already talked about it in my TBR, but essentially, this woman, Eve, finds a lantern that takes her back in time, and love and romance awaits in this series from what it looks like. Then we have Mother's Last Wish by Jo Bartlett. Ooh. Maybe? Yeah, this one already came out. I thought it was February. But yeah, basically mother is dying and the mom's a twin, and the twin sister, I guess, is grappling with that along with helping her take care of her kids. And I'm not sure if what the mom wants is to set her up with her husband, because that's weird, but it's kind of what it sounds like. 2 sisters, one heartbreaking promise. To everyone who knows them, Louisa and Tom are the perfect couple. They have 2 beautiful kids, Stan and Flo, and are about to celebrate 10 years of happy marriage. Life is perfect. But when Lou is dealt devastating news, that perfect life is turned upside down, and Lou and Tom must reevaluate the very foundation on which their marriage is built. Lou's greatest concern is who will look after her children if she's not there to care for them. Will anyone be able to love them like she does? Holly can face the news that Lou is so sick, and as twins, they've always been together. Older by 20 minutes, Holly has always tried to protect her little sister. So she'll do anything, promise anything to make Lou feel happy and safe. Holly loves Stan and Flo fiercely, but with no children of her own, can she be the mother her sister wants for her children? I don't know what that means. I mean, I do. It could just mean that she wants her to help care for them, but it doesn't make sense, because she says, how could she be a mother to her children? by marrying the father? I don't know. I need to find out. Because otherwise, they still have a remaining parent. He's not dying. I don't know. Then we have The Forever Gift by Brooke Harris. I forgot this author existed until a new release that's coming out that Chloe told me about. And so I went back into her backlist and I found this other one that I want to read. So we have single mother Heather and her 15-year-old daughter, Kayla, or like the Gilmore Girls, essentially. But then they start keeping secrets. Mom finds out that her daughter is very sick, I guess, and she doesn't want to tell her. And from what I'm guessing, their daughter also has a secret. It says that Heather is completely blindsided when she discovers that Kayla is keeping her own secret from her incredible mother. A gift that even in their darkest moments will keep them together forever. So my guess is Kayla's pregnant, doesn't know she's sick. So there's no, not that I'm telling you to have an abortion if you have cancer and you're pregnant. I'm assuming it's cancer, what else? But Kayla keeps it to herself, so I'm assuming by the time that Mom finds out, it's too late for that. So, yeah, I'm guessing tearjerker. And I love a tearjerker because I'm sick and twisted. And on that note, that is everything I hope to read in February. We'll see if that actually happens. I might end up even switching out books as I find out other things I want to read. Or get sucked into these series. Because I still also have other series I could potentially go back to. I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah. So, that's my February TBR. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.
Stop recording video.